Hi there, guys. Since I haven't come up with a flashy name for myself on YouTube yet, uh, just call me the grizzled old German, the strategy German, whatever. So, what I want to show you today is the Civilization V Knights mod. The Civilization V Knights mod is a so-called total conversion mod of Civilization V. Both Civilization V Vanilla as well as Civilization Gods and Kings. It does not work, mind you, with Civilization V Brave New World. So the first thing is, when you start to play that, you have to make sure that you disabled in the DLC list the Brave New World DLC. As you can see, that has been done here. So if I would forget, which I frequently forget, to first disable Brave New World, because it will be automatically re-abled by every new start, then it will inevitably crash at some time, which I don't like. So now we are going, for the sake of that here, I put music volume to 0 and ambience volume to 0. No, let's keep the ambience volume, because the first times I tried that out, the music was so fucking loud that nobody understood what I was saying. So this I want to avoid this time for good reason. So we are going into the mods menu. So we can see I have downloaded from the Steam workshop several mods. In my original version, where nobody understood me, I actually explained all of those mods. I won't do it here because I will do it while in game. If it is applicable, that is the important one. That is the Civilization Knights Gods and Kings version 5 mod. Actually, it is discontinued because, as crazy as it sounds, this was done by a young guy alone. He had help by some friends, but essentially alone. And this is an unbelievable, awesome feat of his, because he more or less remodeled the whole civilization by himself as a one-man army, one-man show, so to speak. Kudos to that. I'm really very, very impressed. So that's the mod we are talking about here. So let's start. So now as you can see in the background, it's the starting screen of Gods and Kings, which is important because, as I said, Brave New World doesn't work with it. So now it's configuring all the mods. While it's doing that, I probably highlight the most important other mods, the ethnic units here. That means that the generic Civ 5 units look different for every civilization. So if I'm playing Japan, so mine actually look Japanese. The swordsmen and the workers and things, and I like that pretty much. The most important other mod is that you can actually postpone giving level ups for your units, because the first choice, by at least with infantry units, 15% plus in open or 15% plus in rough territory, is pretty much useless. So now I can just skip that and wait for the next meaningful level up without losing it. So those are essentially the mods. So here you can see which mods are in use. Now let's highlight those. Calypso's colored religion icons makes just the religious icons more beautiful because colorful. City banner gives you more information at a glance by a city without opening it. Yeah, that is all. That is the promotions expansion pack, which I was talking about. Yeah, let's go into single player. But before we do that, it's not because single player is the only choice. It doesn't work. Obviously, the mod doesn't work with multiplayer. So the question is, why do I use this mod to start with, and what is the rationale behind this mod to start with? So, as we all know, in turn-based strategy games, the most important factor for gaming pleasure is the quality of the AI. And as I've been told, to develop, to program a competent, capable, strategic AI for turn-based game of that massive scale seems to be fiendishly complicated. In other words, pretty much everyone fails dramatically in doing that. And as much as I hate to say that, the Civ V developers failed dramatically in coming up with a competent AI. The AI does the most stupid of things pretty frequently, and therefore it is not so fiendishly hard once you get the hang of it to always win. That has changed dramatically with the NiGHTS mod. The whole game becomes much more challenging, much more difficult for a variety of reasons. So, as someone put it in a forum, he said, when I play knights on prince level, which should be level 4, I guess, of 8, then it feels like level 8 in vanilla Civ. Probably I wouldn't go so far, but it's probably 2-3 steps. What's the difference in difficulty? So I guess everyone interested in listening to that and following that will be an avid Civ V player. So I'm probably guessing that if you watch that, you know your way around Civ V Vanilla and Gods and Kings. So as you know, the key to success in Civ V is having a keen eye on happiness versus unhappiness. Because if you let your civilization become unhappy, a lot of very nasty things happen at the same time. Your production falters, your units don't fight as efficiently, blah 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 blah, and if you let it go out of control, you get revolts, you get barbarian riots. In other words, it's impossible to get anywhere with an unhappy civilization. So, as you know, what you're familiar with from Civ V Vanilla, as I will call it from now on, is how happiness works. It essentially works the way that there are two major factors to incur unhappiness, which is number of cities and number of citizens across your whole empire, so the population number that incurs unhappiness. So every city growth increases unhappiness, and that's about it. And you can offset that by acquiring luxury resources, which gain you happiness. You can offset that by building, actually constructing buildings, which provide you with happiness. So that's about it. The problem is, though, that you never really are in control of how fast your empire is growing. So once you have a certain amount of cities, there will be always some city somewhere which will have population growth, and that incurs you more unhappiness, but you're not in control of it because you don't fucking know when the next time it happens. So you always have to have a safety margin for happiness in order not to become unhappy. But it's a little mystic. So what they did, they fundamentally changed the happiness-unhappiness mechanism. And I think much to the better. So the way it works in the NiGHTS mod is, it is very precise. So very simple. Every single city founded incurs 20 unhappiness. And that's the difference to vanilla, every military unit you own, be it produced yourself or given by a city-state, provides you with 5 unhappiness. And to offset that, every luxury resource you can grab or get a hold of one way or another will provide you with 10 happiness to offset that. And then there are obviously the buildings to provide happiness. What I like about that is 2 things. First, I find it as a very realistic and nice idea that military units produce unhappiness, because actually in real world they do. Um, and then that means that you have to think twice about how many military units you can afford to own at any given moment in time. That's the one benefit. I really like that. And the second benefit is that once you paid the price for founding a city, the -20 happiness, um, then everything everything just gets better by growth. So once they start growing and gain additional population, that actually increases happiness. So you're always on the safe side with the mod rather than on the unsafe side with the vanilla. Because once you have calculated your happiness quota by the number of your cities, growth is actually something positive, and I think growth in an empire, population growth in reality should be positive. So that's the biggest game changer: how the Knights mod changes happiness versus unhappiness. There is another game changer, which I will highlight once I show you the game. Um, they have probably added 2 times as many buildings you can construct in the cities versus vanilla. There are much more buildings you can construct, and there are, I think, much more technologies you can develop. And this is nice in its own right, but now comes the stunner. You know, the old buildings, the old wonders, um, even the old social politics, they are still there, mostly. No, social politics not, but the old wonders and old buildings. Uh, but they are doing something totally different now. I mean, they have other perks. They have other functions. They have other effects. So if you're playing as a expert Civ 5 guy, your typical game, and you know exactly what to do next and why you do it and what you want to achieve, you have to relearn, rethink the whole game all over again. The first time I played the Knights mod, I did my usual strategy, and boy was I surprised that it didn't work at all, because everything had changed. By that time, I had achieved uh, uh, I had achieved a level of expertise in the old Civ 5 that I pretty much every time won by employing certain strategies and tactics, which always worked out of the box. Being city spamming, massive city spamming. So I built as many cities as possible as early as possible, which typically led to the effect that in the late game, so let's say after 350 turns, I had about 60 cities, and the next best AI player had about 15. Typically, they had about 7 to 8, so it was virtually impossible to conquer my empire, because I just had too many cities for that being possible. That was easy. The other thing is, I followed the path of amassing city-state allies, using patronage, for instance, and by the turn 350, every single city-state on the planet was my ally, which made the game exceedingly easy, because they provided me with the luxury resources perks. They provided me with military assistance and everything. So it was, for anyone given, very bad idea to attack me anyways, because he would have been attacked by so many city-states at the same time, in the same instance, without me moving a finger. So that were the 2 major strategies. The additional strategies I employed was going for certain strategic game-changing wonders as soon as possible before the others can, and going for certain social politics, which especially were useful for giving me a happiness boost. So, I did that so many times successfully, that it became fucking boring. And then I stumbled about the Knights mod, and it's for me a totally new, different game. It becomes so much harder, so much more complex, so much more challenging that it's for me like I bought a new game. And I really love that. And it's free. So let's delve right into it, So we load something. We load my last quick save game from yesterday evening. So, and while it loads, I can highlight something different because as I told you, it's called Total Conversion Mod, and they really converted pretty much everything. So what they also converted is the civilization perks. If you have ever bumped into Japan in the old game, or played even as Japan in the old game, they had very nice perks. So they had the samurai, which could actually work as a work boat, as a fishing boat, repeatedly without losing it in the process. And you incurred culture for every work boat, and you incurred culture for every small island you owned or you colonized. This is all gone. It's just gone. It just is the 50% discount on gold maintenance and the full strength even when damaged. And if you see here the Tatara, this is a building which hasn't been there. It gives you a 30% production boost if you have iron near. So even your old civilizations don't do what they used to do, which I kind of find appealing because it's not as boring anymore. So what we do first now is tone down the sound a little because I still want to be heard. The first time I did a recording of that type, I had the music on and it was so fucking loud that nobody could understand what I was saying, so that was a bad idea. So okay, 50% should be fine. So about the game. So not only it became harder, the game became harder because of all those changes. The AI became markedly smarter. As someone put it in a forum at one time, he said the AI is so incredibly stupid that have you ever lost a war against the AI in Civ? And actually, when I was contemplating that, no, I didn't. I didn't lose a single war against the AI because the AI was doing the most stupid of things at all times. As you know, or as you might know, cities can only be conquered by infantry melee units, not by ranged units. So what does he do? He sends 70 ranged units against the city, and small wonder, not a single of the 70 can enter the city to conquer it. So he lost all. It took hundreds of years, game years, but he lost all the 70 ranged units and never conquered a single city. That's how stupid it was. So now this has changed dramatically. Also, as I told you, they were very reticent in building many cities. So when I had 60, they had 8. This has changed dramatically. I've played 50 games of Civ 5, and now I had never experienced in the old game what I experience now. That by turn 319, so still 81 turns to go until the 500 cap, every single island, even the smallest island, has already been colonized by the AI. There is not a single scrap of land left for founding cities. And that is fresh, and that is new, and that is challenging. And I like that, because it makes the game so much more interesting and harder. So, have a little look at how we stand here in general. Diplomacy, as you can see, I fare very decently well for the difficulty. So I have 1,161 civilization points. So I would rank in this order even third right now, barely. But could be 7th as well, pretty quickly. Um, and the winner is beautiful, beautiful, big-titted Catherine of Russia. Um, and you can see why she's so overpowering, because whereas my uh, strongest infantry melee unit is actually a medieval samurai with swords, among other things. That's my by far strongest. Um, and I still have those wooden ships and things like that. And what does she have at the same time? Much prematurely, if you look at the old game, she has missiles, anti-aircraft missiles. She has mechanized infantry, a very, very late game unit. She has the real uh, three range artillery. So that is so overpowering. I mean, if I would confront her uh, in a landed battle, she would turn me to rubble in no time, probably um, without incurring losses. So this, as you can tell from the strange city names, Tlatelolco, Tenochtitlan, Teotihuacan, and Texaco. Uh, Texcoco, this was actually the Aztec. This all belonged to the Aztec, and I conquered it from the Aztec. So, as you can see, North America is uh, Russia's sphere of influence. So she was probably pissed off that I conquered so many cities on her continent, which she thinks is her continent. So she reacted otherwise. She reacted accordingly and backstabbed me, although we were friends and almost allies. Uh, and she came with power, and she took away all those cities from me in no time. I mean, it took her probably 2 turns to conquer those 3 cities. Um, Whereas in the vanilla Civ 5, it typically took the AI 100 turns not to conquer a single city. So the change in difficulty is so dramatic indeed. So the only thing which lets me survive here is that I'm a big fan of maritime empires in this game. You know, like the old British Empire of the 19th century, uh, Britannia rules the waves, rules the sea, and as has been the case back then, who rules the sea rules the world. And since I rely so heavily on coasts and islands and coastal towns, especially my islands are pretty much safe from a landed attack. Because if she would actually put all those infantry units into water like she does here, they are much more easy to destroy without incurring actual damage yourself. So because I have this maritime island empire, as you can see here, and it's Australia, and it's New Zealand, and it's a major part of Southeast Asia. So because that is the case, I don't have to be so overly concerned about what she does, because she doesn't have such a fleet, which is what saves me right now from being crushed. I seem to have this by far the strongest fleet in the whole game, as you can see here, with all the frigates and privateers in abundance. And as long as I have that, it is not really possible to kill me so easily. If that would be different, I would be dead long ago. Look at the Indian guy, Gandhi. He's supposed to be peaceful. I mean, he also has those anti-aircraft missiles, and he has the real modern time infantry, and they would crush my samurai in no time without incurring losses, but he can't do that because of my fleet. That's it. So let's talk about talk with one of those suckers. You know, I'm a personal fan of the Russian lady Catherine the Great, because she has a body to die for. Actually, she gives me wet dreams. You will see why when I show you. You should know her actually when you know the basic game. So let's talk to you, baby. Look at that. Oh, look at those tits. So, but look at her face. She's not happy with me. She should though, because she started the war. But she's fully conscious of her own strength, so there's no reason for her to be friendly to me, I guess, because she thinks I'm a poor little bastard. So if I want to negotiate peace, come to beg for mercy, that tells me everything, so she wouldn't talk to me anyway about negotiating peace, but we can try it, baby. Come on, let's give it a try.
Это неприемлемо.
Yeah. So she hasn't finished destroying me yet, to the extent she wants. So goodbye, baby. So that is her. So typically my strategy would be to seal off the whole oceanic, Australian, Pacific area by actually colonizing those strategic cities here so that nobody can break through, which always worked in the vanilla. But boy, was I wrong. Look at that, look at that. They are insulting me. The Chinese settles here, the Indian settles here, the Danish guy settles here, the Swedish guy settles here, the Russian baby settles here, even the Songhai guy settles here. I mean, that pissed me off to no end. But I can't declare war to all of them at the same time. So I picked the one who pisses me off most, which is Gandhi. Because, Gandhi has really colonized all the cities I wanted to colonize. And in essence, that's the reason why I picked him for declaring war to, because I need some victim for my fleet. Because the fleet costs me money, the fleet costs me happiness. So if I don't utilize the fleet, it would be brain dead. So I started the long process to reconquer Asia Pacific from the Indian. So I took away those 3 islands from him. I took away those 2 islands from him. And there's only essentially one city which is endangered by him, which would be Izumo. And there I employed a nice trick by sacrificing 2 generals to build those 2 citadels. So with those 2 citadels, where he will incur damage every time he is even near them, he will never be able to conquer Izumo with melee infantry type units. So I'm pretty much safe here, and since I have the overpowering fleet, he had a nice fleet, but this is gone. I sank it. So every time he comes with his units, I just kill them in time before they can even come here. So I told you about the way the happiness works. So look at those samurais, and look please at my happiness rating. Actually, my happiness rating was rock bottom. It was +1, which is a catastrophe, and it only was mended after I acquired this technology. Where is it? Where is it? No. This was my savior. But I just don't. No. Where is it? Here. That's it. Total unhappiness in occupied cities. As you know, that wasn't it. Where is it? But you can see, if you know the old Civ V UI, this has changed dramatically, and it has expanded dramatically. Where is it? I don't find it. Anyways, by acquiring this social politic, my happiness boosted from 1 to 151. So now I'm on the safe side. I can do pretty much do anything I want without incurring too much of happiness to really endanger what I want to do. So, but just to show you the mechanics, it was this samurai. He was fucking expensive. I paid 1,000 gold to buy it. So he costs me 5 happiness just by being there. Now that I know that the other guys are in the ballistic age and the infantry age, you know, he's so superfluous because he wouldn't achieve anything anyway. So what we do is here we just delete the unit. It will provide me 175 of gold because it's in my territory. So look at those numbers. I get 372 gold right now each turn, and I have 151 happiness. So that's new with regards to a comparison to vanilla. Now I delete it, and yep, my ratings changed. I have gained 5 happiness because, as it says in the bottom row, 100 generated by military units. It used to be 105 generated by military units. And I obviously saved the money for that sucker. So let's talk to the Indian naked, presumably peaceful guy. Tired of battle, negotiate peace. No, he won't. There can be no peace. So that's it. So now you might get the impression that that I pissed off pretty much everyone because my neighbor here is warring against me. I started the war. My neighbor here is warring against me. She started the war. But it's not as bad as that. You know, friendly. Could be worse. So it's not all that bad. So what I will do next is utilize my fleet to one by one take all coastal islands, cities from him, which are a pain in my ass right now. Doing that, I just shifted the giant fleet I have down here, which was conquering those 3. Before conquering those 2 down there, I get them up there and continue here to smash him, which is actually pretty clever for another reason, because if she tries to continue beating me and killing me, then she will find it a big mistake, because then my fleet will be right there and stop that. I think that is most what I wanted to tell you right now about the Knights conversion, full conversion mod. Probably I will at one stage do a Knights game from scratch, from start, because now this is pretty developed. Yeah, what else can I highlight about the Knights mod? You know, it just is very fascinating that they are colonizing so quickly. What they didn't do in the old game. So now, if you look here in the Pacific, there's nothing left. Nothing at all left to colonize. So if you want to grow now, either you let your cities grow by themselves, or you conquer additional cities. Now here, I could actually settle with a settler and found a city, but why should I found a city in that shithole? I mean, there's nothing. There's no luxury resource, there's no strategic resource, there's no food, there is nothing. So I wouldn't do that. But save that little spot, everything is taken. So, since that is my first installment of YouTube Let's Plays, I'm pretty excited of how it looks. So bye bye guys for now. You will hear more of me. The strategic German says goodbye for the time being.